Shabbat Shalom. It's so wonderful to be outside again. This is how summer should be, right? Kind of cool weather, not too much humidity, not too hot. And we welcome back Herb Malamet. We missed your accompaniment, and we're glad that you can be with us tonight. And so we begin our service tonight in song with the Sabbath prayer. If you want to follow along, please turn to page 1. May the Lord protect and defend you. May God always shield you from shame. May you come to be in Israel a shining name. May you be like Ruth and like Esther. May you be deserving of praise. Strengthen them, O God, and keep them from evil ways. May God bless you and grant you long life. May the Lord fulfill our Sabbath prayers for you. May God bless you and keep you from strife. May God in God's wisdom always care for you. May our God protect and defend you. May God always shield you from shame. Favor them, O God, with happiness and peace. Oh, hear our Sabbath prayer. Amen. May God protect and defend you. Amen. We continue now with the lighting and blessing of our Shabbat candles and our Kiddush. It's a pleasure to welcome to this honor Gail Tompkins.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
As we turn now to page 2 in our Shabbat worship, welcoming in the Shabbat bride metaphorically with Lecha Dodi.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, hine Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, hine Shabbat nikabla. Shamar v'zachor b'ribore
Shabbat nikabela lekadodi likrat kala hine Shabbat nikabla hit oreri kivare kumiori uri shirta beri kavod Adonai alayik nigla lekadodi likrat kala hine Shabbat nikabela lekadodi likrat kala hine Shabbat nekabla. Boi v'shalom ateret bala Kam besimcha uvsola Toch emunei am sekula Boi kala lekadodi likrat kala hine Shabbat nikabela lekadodi likrat kala hine Shabbat And so while we're standing, we take a moment to turn to someone, perhaps not the person next to us if we already know that person, but greet someone in front of us, behind us, across the way, introduce ourselves, and say Shabbat Shalom. Prayer for our excuse. As we turn now to page 3 in our Shabbat worship, we continue with the words of Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu, et Adonai, Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. May be seated. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And all these words which I command you on this day shall be in thy heart, shall be in thy heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt speak of them when thou sittest in thy house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou risest up, and when thou liest down, and when thou liest down, and thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be for frontlets between thine eyes, and thou shalt write them on the doorposts of thy house, and upon thy gates, and upon thy gates, that he may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God. It's always fun for me when I say, that prayer that we just prayed is in the Torah portion this week. So this week's Torah portion is the Et Hanan, and it is packed with so many wonderful things, among them the Shema and V'ahavta, at least the first paragraph of it. And so while we sang the translation tonight, tomorrow I'll be chanting the Hebrew of it, and that's just so exciting. This comes from the Torah, and this is the prayer that always precedes our song of freedom, Milchama. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora oseh
understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
Shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. La'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam b'rit olam. La'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam b'rit olam. V'shamru Israel et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. V'shamru v'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. Beini uvein v'nei Israel od hi le'olam. Beini uvein v'nei Israel od hi le'olam. V'shamru v'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. Shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. Ki sheishet yamin asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz. Ki sheishet yamin asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. Vayom hashvi'i Shabbat ve'i nafash. Vayom hashvi'i Shabbat ve'i nafash. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat.
As we are able, we rise for the tefillah at the bottom of page 5.
Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi'ahi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elokei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei
may be seated. On page 7. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Ha'aka, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Ha'aka, Tasim Le'olam. Ki oto melech Aron, lechol hashalom. Ki oto melech Aron, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Ha'aka, tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Ha'aka, tasim le'olam. V'tov b'einecha livarech et amcha Yisrael, b'kol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Ha'aka, tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Ha'aka, tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam.
As we pray for peace in our world, we also pray for healing. Whether that healing is of the body or of the spirit, and we're thinking especially of these people in our extended Attic family. Sarah Drasnin, Coco Aguilar, Jonathan Shapiro, Ron Fisher, Jeff Schaefer, Lulu Rivuela, Marion Gortz, Aaron Tepper, Lily Tepper, Joan Major, Karen Bowen, Louis Alahut, Mary Parker, Barbara Cohn, Tricia Tepper, Jordan Maverick Steinberg, Carol Schaefer, Harriet Rosenberg, Hudson Hodge, Carrie Basin, Dr. Jerry Herman, Todd Pollard, Murray Kammerman, Mary Mednitsky, Jocelyn Jackson, Jen Jones, Shirley Friedlander, Michael Infanti, Gary Garnick, Sarah Oken, Ann Marsden, Jerry Druskin, Lynn Romsberg, Rick Ulrich, Ileana Cohn. And if there's others whom you're thinking of who are in need of healing at this time and you have not yet heard their name, if you're watching through the blessing of technology, feel free to add those persons' names in the comments. And if you're here in person, I would invite you to stand and say that person's name aloud as my glance meets yours.
Anthony and Tina Zach.
Jana Ifshin. Irene Lynn.
Henry Clemens, Joan Thames.
Baruch atah Adonai, Rofei HaCholim.
our prayer silently. Repeat after me. May the words of my mouth meditation of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Yiyu liratzon imrefi, ve'egyon libi lefanecha. Adonai suri ve'goali, Adonai suri ve'goali. We call this Shabbat Nachamu, which means the Sabbath of comfort. Historically, in the Jewish holiday cycle, this is the name of the Shabbat that immediately follows the Jewish observance of Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of the Hebrew month of Av, as we spoke last week, which is the Jewish observance day of the destruction of the first and second temples in Jerusalem. And that was observed last Saturday night and Sunday. Recalling these tragic and sad events in our people's history, we might be able to imagine how our ancestors needed comfort following the collapse of their Jewish epicenter, the temple in Jerusalem, not just once, but twice. Today, Jerusalem remains the capital of Israel, and the modern state remains central to the rhythm and life of the Jewish people. Last week, while we were observing this Shabbat, and discussing Sinat Chinam, the baseless hatred between human beings, which is said to be the cause of the destruction of the Second Temple, last week at that same time, Israel and the Islamic Jihad were engaged in a 3-day exchange of fire, which thankfully over this past week has held in a ceasefire. I learned that the Israeli army aborted and delayed the mission several times when it saw children playing outside its target area. Nonetheless, this exchange caused hundreds of injuries, dozens of deaths, among them 16 Palestinian children, according to The Guardian, and damage to hundreds of people's homes. In Judaism, we mourn the loss of all life. On Passover, many of you recall that when we recite the 10 plagues, we take our cup of wine or grape juice, which is our cup of joy, and we remove, right? Some of you use your pinky Some of you use your pointer. And we remove drops, 10 drops. What is that all about? That is symbolically lessening our cup of joy, because the plagues, even though they were upon Pharaoh and our enemy, they still caused harm to God's living beings. And for that, we lessen our cup of joy. This most recent exchange of fire between the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces, and the Islamic Jihad, it seems to be an endless cycle that arises either every several years or several months. And especially for those living in Israel and Gaza, as well as those of us who live in the diaspora, we too need comfort and healing. One Israeli woman is making an effort in her daily life to offer healing among Israelis and Palestinians in quite a literal as well as figurative way. In a Hadassah podcast, I learned about Yael Moav, an Israeli woman who drives a Palestinian 5-year-old by the name of Dia and his father, Mohammed, to Hadassah's pediatric hematology oncology department. Dia and Mohammed live in Hebron. And over the course of 3 years, Yael has picked them up at the Bethlehem checkpoint so that Dia can receive treatments for his cancer of the nervous system. These rides that Yael gives them save Dia and Mohammed's precious time, in addition to money that they would otherwise spend on 2 circuitous bus routes or via taxi. You see, per Israeli regulations, Palestinians are not permitted to drive their own cars in Israel. And so Mohammed drives his car to the checkpoint, they walk across the checkpoint, and Yael picks them up. During these rides, Yael and Mohammed have built up a friendship. Yael's rides to the hospital have turned into visits at the hospital with her 2 passengers, and her visits there have expanded to a trip to their home in Hebron. Yael, who wanted to be more active in Israeli-Palestinian reconciliation efforts, started volunteering with Humans Without Borders as a way to connect with Palestinians, her own personal attempt to break down the mistrust and hate that she saw around her. She said, "It's appealing but dangerous when Israelis and Palestinians only know one another in caricature form, because it makes life simple. Oh, they're all terrorists. It's their fault. We are the victims." That makes life easy, Yael said, adding, "The minute you see a person, you really see them. It challenges you to look at things differently." Yael's relationship with Mohammed and Dia is just one example that offers healing among Israelis and Palestinians. And there may be other reasons that we need comfort and healing. The weariness some are feeling from limitations of an enduring pandemic, personal losses or healing from illness, whether physical or spiritual, the concern we have for our brothers and sisters and siblings in the Ukraine who have yet to get back to normal life, and other things that are happening around our country or across our world. So on this Shabbat Nachamu, this Sabbath of comfort, I'm wondering about the comfort and healing that you may have received or that you may have given. When can you recall having received and or offered healing or comfort to another, from another? If you feel comfortable, unintentional pun, doing so, share an experience with someone sitting near you, whether that experience was at the receiving end of the comfort or at the giving and offering of comfort. Please turn to others to discuss. I would be curious if anyone wants to share something they spoke or heard. Well, I'll share with those of us who are sharing stories up here. One thing that was very comforting for us was either a shawl or a blanket that we received as like an offering of comfort, and sometimes just wrapping ourselves in it, whether we wore it in the moment of need of comfort or many moons later, and reminding us of how it comforted us back in the day. Coincidentally, today, Friday, according to the Hebrew calendar, is also known as Tu B'Av, not to be confused with Tisha B'Av, Tisha being 9, Tu B'Av, the Hebrew letter Tet, and Vav, if you add them together, that's 9 plus 6, mathematicians in the congregation, 15, right? So today was, before sunset, the 15th of Av, Tu B'Av. And Tu B'Av is a post-biblical holiday, though we're not sure of the exact origins. And during the time of the Second Temple, it was a matchmaking day. The Talmud describes it as one of the year's happiest days when young women would dress in white, and the white that they would wear was always borrowed from someone else, so that no one should feel badly that she didn't have the outfit to wear, and no one would be embarrassed that they didn't have something that was white or nice enough. And the women would go out and they would dance in the vineyards, and young bachelors would follow them in search of a bride. Today, in the modern state of Israel, Tu B'Av is celebrated as a day of love. Often when we comfort one another and offer that healing to one another, it is an expression of love. As God offered comfort and love to our ancestors after two of the worst tragedies in our history, so too may we receive comfort and love from God and one another for whatever healing we may need. As you listen to this melody by Alana Arian, perhaps you can sense the words of comfort therein. Nachamu, Nachamu Ami, Yomar Elohechem, from this week's Haftarah reading.
Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Yoel Elohechem. Nachamu, Nachamu,
customarily at Adith Emmanuel, if it were the first Friday of the month, we would be celebrating birthdays, anniversaries, and special life events. This is the second Shabbat Friday of the month. However, we have a special birthday that's coming up tomorrow. That's you, Rosalie Middleman. And your friends told me about this birthday. They told me how when you were celebrating a special birthday 2 years ago, that it was during the COVID pandemic, and there was a rotation of visits to you at your porch. Well, now we get to be in person. And so, celebrating your 92nd birthday, how blessed you are to be here with your Adith Emmanuel family to share in this simcha. Rosalie, because of your commitment to Judaism and to Adith, those in your generation and the generations that have followed have benefited. You have given so much to this place, serving on committees and taking leadership roles. With our sisterhood serving on the board, steering the creation of our chuppah, serving on the program committee and our arts weekend committee, and my understanding that you are the champ in sharing the gifts and memorial cards over the years, and so many other ways. I am, and the people who have known you a lot longer than I have, are grateful for your commitment to our congregational family. As you have blessed us and this place, it is my honor on this occasion of your 92nd birthday to offer this special blessing to you. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, God of our fathers and mothers, God of our days and years, we thank you for the blessing of life and for all that enriches our lives. God bless Rosalie with health and happiness, with the strength to overcome sickness and sorrow. Give to Rosalie the ability to continue to grow, not only in years, but in strength, in wisdom, in love. Fortify in her patience, compassion, and understanding. Help her realize the potential you have placed inside her. And thank you for giving her this precious life, sustaining her all these years, and enabling her to reach this joyous occasion. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך.
Rosalie, may God bless you and keep you.
יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך.
May God's radiance shine upon you and be gracious to you. May God's presence be with you always and give you peace, as we all say, Amen.
ישים לך שלום, שלום, שלום.
Happy birthday. As we turn now to page 9 in our service, we rise as we are able for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח אדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוסף בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמו.
We turn our thoughts and prayers now to those who are no longer with us, as we remember those in our extended family who are no longer with us. We think during this period of Shiva and Shloshim of Shirley Lewis, mother of Kathy Wemmer, Harriet Ann LeWinter Rockland, sister of Myra Malamet, and those who died at the season years past, whose yahrzeits we observe on the Shabbat: Shirley Bram, Zelda Freimark, Fumiko Gonzalez, Marion Goodman, Isaac Grossman, Samuel Isidore, Edith Jameson, Sophie Kaysen, Anna Kushner, Joseph Lieberman, John R. Lowenthal, Ursula Lowenthal, Leonard Moskowitz, Jacob Rockgard, Michael Schaefer, Marilyn Starbecker, Rose Zach. If there's a name you would like to add at this time, please rise as you're able and add that name.
Steve Barrows, Sue Morgan, Stephen Fireman, Jack Valley.
Elizabeth Goldstein and Stan Lynn.
If you're joining us through the blessing of technology, feel free to add the names of your loved ones at this time, as we invite those who are in the period of Shiva to rise, those who are in the period of Shloshim, the first month, to rise, those who are observing a yahrzeit this Shabbat or are in the first year of mourning to rise. And we all rise now in comfort and support, continuing with the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chaye chon u'vyomei chon u'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'gizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehe shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam onei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudasha b'riyahu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, d'amiran v'yalma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Yiseh shalom v'ramav, u'yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. And I invite Diane to come and share some announcements with us.
Okay, what a beautiful night to be outside. Thank you all. Although I looked on the weather thing and it said that the sun was setting at 8:01. So I brought a little lamp just in case I needed it. So here we go. Thank you, Rabbi Memes Fuller, Cantor Sandy, Herb, Gail, for leading tonight's service. And I have to interject about comfort. Sunrise Sunset was my dad and my favorite song, so it was very comforting to hear you do a duet and start the evening that way, so thank you. Thank you to Gail for leading us in tonight's blessings. Thank you, Brian and Stacy, for greeting, and Helen for setting up Oneg. A special mazel tov, Rosalie. We love you. Happy birthday. And as always, a special thank you to all of you for joining us this evening. Please join us tomorrow morning at 8:45 for Torah Talk and Bagels, followed by our Simply Shabbat morning service at 10 a.m. Mark your calendars. We still have 2 more meet and greets with Rabbi Memes Fuller. One is scheduled for this Sunday, August 14th at 11 p.m. No, 11 a.m. I got it. I forgot to change it from last week. I made the same mistake. Okay, and the second one is, okay. And the second one is Tuesday, August 23rd at 7 p.m. They're being held in the Tapestry Room and light refreshments will be served. Also on Sunday, August 14th from 4 to 6 is an AFTI K to 6 summer hangout event. It promises to be a fun event filled with outdoor games, crafts, snacks, and beverages. Our Social Action Justice Committee is sponsoring their annual backpack drive. Donations are being accepted till the end of August. And one last item, membership for Sisterhood and Men's Club are now being accepted. Please consider joining these two amazing groups. They provide a wide variety of programming inside as well as outside our attic community. Tonight's oneg is on our oneg cart. We will wheel it to you. You're sitting a little bit further back. I feel like my teaching days when I used to sit in the back of the classroom. We did shower before we got here, so I'm not sure why you're so far away. But anyway, join us for a little bit. And tonight's thought for Shabbat is everything in your life is a reflection of a choice you have made. If you want a different result, make a different choice. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.
And our closing song this evening is
Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom B'Roma, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, Le'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael.
and we continue with the motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz, b'tei avon, and Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.